Welcome back to Ladies Who Create, a show where we'll be interviewing the incredibly inspiring women who are trailblazing the design and creative industries. I'm your co-host, Liz Meyer, a creative director and half of a Datalands duo.
And I'm your other co-host, Jess Rosenberg, and I'm a creative director currently working in the tech industry.
Today, we're joined by Andrea Mata. Andrea is a creative director and digital designer living in Mexico City. She currently works as a creative at Runway, the AI company that is changing the way we work with video in the creative industry. Prior to Runway, Andrea has created insanely creative work for brands like Google, NBA, TikTok, Twitter, Meta, Adidas, Pepsi, and just way too many more to list. Her work ranges from websites to apps to interactive experiences.
Thank you so much again for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, maybe we can kick off the conversation by talking about your career journey. Would love to hear what your career arc has been like, maybe even back all the way to the point where you realized you wanted to be a designer or some sort of creative.
I think I always created things since I remember. We often talk about this in my family, but when I was a kid in elementary school, I used to have like this little notebook with like tattoos that I would make to my classmates with like colored pens and like glitter pens. And I would charge them like 5 pesos or something like that. So it's like half a dollar. So ever since I remember, I've been like just, I don't know, drawing or like doing things with materials. At some point I did pottery, like really like painting. So I think being creative of doing things with my hands and yeah, just creating things has been like, since I remember, something that it has been part of me, and people always told me that. So I think it was really, once like I had to choose a career like college, it was like really like I almost didn't think about it. I just went to design. There was like the arts program and design program, but I also feel like I've always been more inclined to the design aspects of things. I mean, I was like selling like tattoos to kids instead of like doing art. So I don't know. I think like part of it, like I've always thought about like creating, but also kind of how it what I do interacts with people. And that's something I by looking back, I've been like seeing as a trend. So yeah, I got into graphic design school. And after I graduated, I did try to do some editorial design, and I was doing that for a couple of years. But that was like a really disappearing industry at the time. I think there were very, very few studios that made it, and they had like, anyway, it was like just really hard to find a place for me in there. And then I found digital design. So I started doing websites very rapidly. I just learned because I feel editorial design gave me base to start website design and do it like pretty fast. And all of a sudden, by all of this that I've told you, I was living in Mexico. I'm from Mexico, not Mexico City, but I've been like in many places in Mexico. And then all of a sudden I was recruited by an agency called Ueno that it's now gone, but it was a very fun place at the time. It was their headquarters was in San Francisco. So I just said yes, like right away. I was super excited. So I went there. If you know Ueno, because at the time for the type of work that we were doing, it was a very well-known agency, I would say. It was really looked at as an agency that was doing things differently. And I was just so lucky to be there when that was happening. Yeah, their clients were huge. Like I went from like doing, I don't know, like social media strategy for a small brand in Guadalajara, Mexico, to doing work for Uber and Google. And that was insane to me. And I had such, sorry, hear my dog.
Oh, that's fine. We have pets.
Yeah, she's just territorial.
No, don't worry.
Yeah, I had huge mentors. My boss, Hallie, other like more senior people, Robin, Jenny, who Jenny, by the way, contact me with you. So yeah, there I learned so much of like how the industry moved outside of Mexico and it, like just like globally, and how just people did things. And I also learned to be a little bit more confident about my work. Because again, I went from very small clients to huge clients, so I had that moment of like, what's going on? And yeah, I worked in Ueno for 3 and something years, and from San Francisco I moved to New York. But at that time, that's when I started thinking, okay, I'm in the digital space, but I keep doing websites and they're cool, and doing product design and I'm like, they're cool. But like there was like this world of technology developing. I kept hearing of AR projects and VR and these other projects basically that involved technology installation. So I I had like this idea in the back of my mind of like, I really like that, but I was really comfortable at Ueno. But then I was contacted by this agency called Jam3, which was, well, still is in Toronto, like their headquarters, but they were specifically doing the type of work that I was kind of seeing there and being interested in. So I feel like every step of my career, I had like this thing appearing for me, and I feel like I've been very lucky, and it just like happens. I don't know if I attract it or somehow like I say it and people like hear it and it comes to me, but that happens. So I got an offer with them. I moved to Toronto, and then there, I right away, I think my second project was an AR project, and I was like, is this it? Like, I just like have to do it. And they said like, yes, we'll figure out as we go. And something that they told me is like, with technology, nobody knows everything because every day there's something new and every day there's an update. So you just have to learn and ask and test it and try, and like, we'll figure it out. So a lot of that happened in Jump Tree. And I did still had some other projects that were more like e-commerce marketing sites, even some work for Twitter that was more on like animation. I had to art direct that. But the projects that I was like truly invested in were those AR projects. I had some installations. We had to figure out how to create like a dance game for this installation for Pepsi. So yeah, lots of learnings, lots of learnings, and it was just amazing. But then COVID hit, and yeah, so it was at the time again. I was in Toronto. People don't mention enough how cold Toronto is. And then I was living in New York. They told me, oh, the winter is like so similar to Toronto. That's a lie. That's a lot. Like, yes, it was cold in New York, but it was like somehow manageable. And with COVID happening in Toronto, like the only thing you could have is just like going on walks. And going on walks in like minus 15 Celsius was insane.
Yeah.
So for me, like weather kind of like hit me. We were all working like extra hours because like work was everything that most people had. I was living alone, so I didn't have like, family there or like roommates. So I was like, okay, I need to leave Toronto. And at the time I was like, I'll just take a break from like working with Jam. And I went to Mexico just to recharge for a month. And then I was like, okay, I think it's time to have like an actual break from everything, to just figure out what I want. Yeah, I took like 6 months off, went to visit friends in Europe, just like, had some fun.
Yeah.
And
Awesome.
finally landed in Mexico City. And I was like, this place is amazing. And I had lived here actually 10 years ago, well, just after I graduated, but like very different circumstances back then. I had no money. Like it was my first time like in a huge city, and Mexico City is huge. So it was like kind of overwhelming. But this time it just like felt really great for me. Everything was just so much easier than every other place I have been. And I was like freelancing for a bit and it was super fun. But then I had a friend at Runway and she was like, I think you should just interview for this role. I think it would be perfect for you. And I'm like, I don't think so, but I will interview. And I talked to the people at Runway, and it was perfect for me. Like the mindset that they have of what they wanted to do with the team. And again, I'm on the marketing team, meaning like we do efforts to show people what you can do with the tool. So it's insane. Like my creative director, or like the head of design, has like such a special view on like where to take things. And we haven't done installations, like we're kind of working on it, but like we do TV kind of hub in the web, but we also have like these short film competitions, and there's the AI film festival. So to me, that be at a place where I'm doing what I do, but connected with culture, in like meaning movies and technology, like AI. I've been like learning so much about AI. It's like truly interesting, like truly, I like, again, I'm like very grateful about like where I've been, like in the exact place where I've been, because I think I've been like very lucky to land in places where they're like doing stuff that it's changing the game. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
Amazing. Wow. Thank you for that. It's super inspiring. It sounds like you're almost manifesting. The concept of manifesting, by the way, has come up in every episode that we recorded.
And this is like a real running theme. And I think there's something to that. Yeah, definitely.
But it sounds like the newest technology almost keeps finding you in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And I think it's by taking because again, as I said, like it's not like all of a sudden I've said like I want to work in AI because I know AI. It's like, okay, I come to places to learn, and then the next place knows that I've been doing things that, for example, at Runway, the head of design knew about Jam3, and they knew what they do. So he said, you're probably best for the role because you've been working with all of these technologies and understanding like how to change things in the game. So I think it's just openness to learn, and knowing how it's okay to not know anything about a topic and just start learning about it. And I, by no means, I know everything about AI. Like it's so complex. There's times where engineers are talking and I'm like, I have no idea what you're saying. But whatever you do, I'll make sure that people that will also have no idea what you're saying understands or like has fun with it. So it's learning and manifesting, as you say.
Oh, that's amazing.
So how when you are investigating a new theme to your life in a way, like AI, for example, like how do you dive into it? Do you just engage with the online communities, or do you take courses or
Yeah, I do. Honestly, I think I'm not super active on Twitter, but I'm an observer on Twitter, and I'm very careful with the accounts that I follow, because I want to, like, I do follow lots of like agencies, for instances. For example, when I was more in the agency world, I knew what agencies were doing interesting things. So I would follow them and just like keep on checking on Twitter or even on their page, like what was the latest project. And I will also follow the creatives that would be on those agencies and that I found more interesting. So I think through Twitter, I did find to just like be checking what people were doing. Like right now, for example, that I moved into this other space, like I still check what these agencies are doing, but I do definitely have like some people that I follow that are in the AI space, specifically doing more like cinema with that, because that's a part that I'm very interested in. So it's Twitter for sure, although I know it's kind of dying for many, but it still has value to me. And at the time, again, that I was like in agency, there's platforms like Awards and then FWA, which it's specifically the FWH at the time. I think it was a place where you would see this type of like installation, AR work. because the best of the best were putting like their work out there. And I'm still a judge there. I don't go and judge so often, but the fact that I was part of like having to judge like these efforts that would like one directly gave me those projects, and like I had to analyze them because I was like judging them. So like being just I mean, and you don't have to be a judge there, but just like being a user there and entering to see what's new, um, what's relevant. There's like so many other platforms like Adweek and other, I guess, yeah, just platforms that talk about like other projects, but I really don't use those as often. I just like stick to these places where people submit things on Twitter. Yeah.
Oh, that's really interesting. I would think that my default is to go watch a video and kind of get into a tutorial and just start making something versus even knowing what I'm supposed to be making. Like I like that you look at people's work and you see like what the end result should probably look like. I don't.
Yeah, I can see that. The thing with like tech is like there's actually very, very, very few content about creative projects, like doing a creative project with AR or doing like an installation with blah blah blah. So it's really hard to find that type of content on YouTube. Like you normally go for like case studies from agencies, and those have more detailed work of like how they do things, or you just see the creative like doing just like this is how we did X project. So it's now that you say it, it's because like there is really not. Of course, I went to YouTube to be how does AR work, but and yes, you had something, but it wasn't really what I was trying to look for. So I think I had to dig a little bit deeper and like just kind of ping people and be like, oh, this is great. How did you do it?
Oh, that's so interesting because you're so on like the the cusp of something so new that you can't even learn about it without just talking to the people literally coding the
Exactly.
tech. That's wild. That's amazing.
Do you miss working at agencies?
I miss some projects, but I'd say, I mean, I think there's always things that you miss when certain things you had fun with, but I wouldn't go back to that. I feel like where I am is like so much like suited for me at this time of my life. And it's no secret that agencies are ultra demanding. And they also have like this game, I would say, that it's like you have to be proving yourself like all the time. Um, it's very fast paced, it's very competitive. And I do miss working with, for example, a lot of developers. Because as I say, like I could ask them like, oh, how do you do this? Or how are you coding this? Or how does this work? And right now I don't do that so often. I do work with a dev who is amazing, and we work like very closely together, but the type of work we do sometimes is not as like dev creative as like those other projects. So I do miss certain things. Again, like the challenge, like the the tech challenge mixed with creative. But I think I'm good with this new stage of my life. Yeah.
Maybe we can talk about Runway for a little bit. You're working at, it's an AI startup that's literally revolutionizing how creatives will probably be creating for the foreseeable future. In like 10, 20 years, we all talk about how AI is going to be so woven into our day-to-day as creators. What has it been like working for a company during this era of, AI at the forefront of everything?
It's been so interesting, especially because, again, and I think like in every way, like you're in a bubble always. Of course, for example, I was showing my sister what I do for a living, and I showed her like the Runway product, and she was like, "Oh my god, I had never seen anything like that." And I'm like, "Really? You have never seen anything?" I think like, I'm like, this is like so to me, it's like so popular right now, right, in the creative space. So I think what it's really interesting about like Runway is that it's trying to cross or like pop that bubble of like, okay, we're trying to make tools that anyone that it's in the creative or non-creative space can access to, and understand that AI is again just a tool. It's a tool to create this or that. Um, and again, it's a company that has a very strong community, and we're always doing something to engage with the community. As I said, we just had our second um, short AI film competition, and that's with the community. So with that competition, we're hearing like what worked from like the product, where it's not working. So we're hearing, and I'm hearing, especially I'm hearing like everything that these creatives want from AI, and how they're inserting like the well, or like kind of working with AI to create their things. And most of them are like filmmakers or they do video, but that had taught me a lot of how to I would even use the tools for my own work, or how even other people that are not again in the creative space can use the tool. Like for example, I was telling my sister that she has like her own business, and I'm like, oh, you can generate certain type of images to use on your social media. So to me, it's just like so interesting to see how right now, again, we're in this bubble. We're like we're trying to figure out like how things can work for the rest of the people, and like trying to enter in that space of the rest of the people that are not in or not understanding the concept of AI. To me, that's something like I'm right there in the process of that's happening, and that's super interesting to me. And obviously hearing from very talented people the discussions about um like this new tool that is appearing, and people are like scared of it, just as like people were scared of the technique of like photography
Totally.
or Photoshop was like the monster. So it's just like so interesting to just be hearing everyone discuss it and be seeing what we're doing in terms of the product, the tool to help people, and just like seeing the outcome is just a very interesting cycle to me as a creative. And of course now I'm learning AI, and I'm trying to do my videos, so that has been interesting.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question actually. Like, have you actually woven it into your own creative practices, and what is
For
that like?
sure, for sure. I do generations now. We do it like again for like the work that I do. I do kind of a lot of things, but in short, I do efforts like marketing efforts or like creative efforts to make people like know of Runway or participate on Runway and all this type of stuff. So there's many times that I had to do like, generations for the marketing side, or generations for to show how to do the short AI films, or generations to show how this specific AI tool that we have works. So that's how it started. But I've also been like, okay, I want to know how to create a style, and I want to know how to create a video. And I've done some, but I keep doing them. Like I want to figure out my style, like within, like, you have so many creators and they have like their own style and they spend time on it. So I've been spending time on it, like figuring out what would my style be. It's so fun because I feel like uh, you just like find your medium. Look, your medium. Like some people are like artists, but they are not good at painting, or they're not good at photographing, but they're good at collage, and that's their medium. So I feel like I found a medium that I'm very comfortable with. Um, I also like photography, but this one it's something just very different from me. And aside from like the work, I think this is something that has been becoming something I can see myself like as a creator of AI. So that's I'm very grateful for that, because if I hadn't landed here, probably I wouldn't be doing it. because I have infinite credits to create my
That's
stuff.
so nice. So cool. You must. If I were you, I'd be up all hours of the night just playing and tinkering.
Yeah, me too.
Just open the app and do like pink dogs or something like this random stuff.
Yeah, so fun.
I just started playing with Runway like about a month or so ago, but
Yeah, nice.
it's so interesting. It's so cool. It's like this. I always wanted to think about like how to move my work or how, you know, is there a possibility of ever being a director or something like that? But it always felt so out of reach because it's like you have to go to film school, you have to, or like if you want your work to move, you have to learn motion design. It felt
Yeah.
too serious. So, but it's so cool to just make the
Certain.
work move. Oh, it's like magic. And I think that's where AI becomes something like on a different level for me, at least. Like it becomes magical because it's something that you physically will never be able to do because you can't devote the time to learning how to, do a specific skill or something. So I find Runway really exciting and like the possibilities of it. I didn't know they had a film fest. That's
Yeah. We have an AI film festival coming up in May in New York. I just forgot the date in LA, but that's just kind of calling out like every AI movie, right? So it doesn't have to be just Runway. It can be like if you created a film with I don't know, like some AI generation for the script, or if you just did it with just another tool, another technique, is just celebrating the creation of AI. And then the short film competition, that's with focusing on using Runway. You're given like credits with your team, and it's like a weekend of like do your thing, and we'll kind of set the winners. But yeah, there are like efforts of like just kind of test it, try it. I feel like, for example, for illustrators, it could be such a great tool to just like, okay, you have your illustration, and then as you say, like you are learning other skills, and maybe like motion design is like such a heavy thing to learn. I've been I've been in the position where like I've been asked like so many times, and do you do motion? I'm like, no, but I do these all other things that I've been focusing my career on. So like having something, and I think right now it's working like for illustrations. I don't think like it will work for UI anytime soon, but it just like gives it an extra push. And the more you use it, the more like refine it takes. And even there's this thing called director mode. And the point is that like at some point, like, yes, maybe people say like, oh, it doesn't have your vision, but it does because you choose what to move. So you're just, you know what you want. You're just given the tool to kind of specifically do what you want without having to learn easing and like all of these things that After Effects has.
Yeah. That's someone say the other day that tools like Runway and Midjourney is putting the power back into the art director's hands without having to do all of the work to realize what they're envisioning, which I think is really cool.
And honestly, right now, like we're as a creative, I know like how companies ask us to do so much. Like, so some people say like, oh, it's like cheating or it's like too easy, but we're at a place where like, I guess not just creatives, but everyone is just asked to do so much, to learn so much and be doing so much that I think anything that helps you with your workload and with your flow, it's not cheating at all. It's just like a new tool for not having to spend hours that you could be spending with your family or walking your dog and with your friends.
Totally.
So yeah, it's just compensating for the amount of things that the world is asking from us and work is asking from us.
Yeah, it's making things more efficient. It's basically saving time, and nobody has enough of that. And so anything that can help speed things up and get us to the end state faster while, making still high quality is feels magical always.
Yeah, I feel like that's so true. That is like clients asked, you to do so many different things that are maybe outside your skill set, but just kind of close enough that it's like, well, I could just watch a tutorial, and I can just open up Blender for the first time in 6 months and just try to throw the logo in there and make it spin or something, stuff like that. And like, but what is the point of saying yes to all of those things? And yeah, there's a disconnect between like what your life should look like and what your life becomes and spirals into when you start
Yeah.
saying yes to everything. And I think AI does fill in some of those blanks that,
Yeah, because
it's
maybe you don't want to spend, because it's just, yeah, as you say, opening Blender, but you take an hour to remember how to do things and another hour to do things. And it's not necessarily things that are good for your general work. Maybe it's for a specific client, or maybe that's something that you're not interested in learning because you have like other like so many other skill sets. So yeah, it feels like you don't want that. I mean, 2 hours is 2 hours, as I said. Like, I right now in my life value those 2 hours that I'm not gonna spend figuring out like a new UI and a new tool. So I value my time like very much now.
yeah, I think that gets me to a question that we have about, and we ask this to a lot of people, but imposter syndrome, and if you ever feel it. And I mean, with me, I know I do all the time. And I think that the gap in my knowledge makes me feel like it's exacerbated it a little bit. But just wondering about you and how you maybe combat that. And especially when you enter into new tech and a new role with these emerging tech companies.
I think I had it for so long, so intensely, that at some point I was like, this is not manageable. Like, I have work to do. Like, for example, going back to when I said I was pinged by Ueno, and I went from like these small companies to these huge companies. And obviously what they demand from this other company, like bigger companies, is way more. So then I was like, why am I here? Like, why me? And I was already like working with very well-known names in the industry. So I was really insecure about what I was doing. I was learning like really, really so many things daily, including English. So I, of course, felt like I was it was just that I felt I had to do so much effort to get to where my teammates were. And at some point I catch up, but I kept still like feeling it. Um, and I felt it like for so many years, because again, like a new person would come into the company and I'm like, oh, they're probably better, or like they probably have this other experience or this other experience. But I think at some point after, I think it was until and after I joined Jam3, that I started, I arrived to the company and it was like the same thing. Like, oh, these people are so good. They're probably better, like, visual designers than me, or better motion designers than me. But I guess you know what, like COVID happened, and I was like, okay, I need to value it. Just like, it gave me, again, I was by myself, so it gave me a lot of time to think. I was like thinking all the time. So for me, that really changed. It just had a switch in my imposter syndrome, that I was like, the work that I do, it's like I've reached this point because of the work that I've done. I know I've saved already like so many projects. Like, there's like, what else do I have to do to prove myself that I am who I am, and I have the skills that I have. And I fucked up, of course, at some point in my career, of like, drop the ball in this, I missed like this, I forgot about this, and now we have to figure out this thing. And I know like that will keep on happening, but I'm like, okay, I'm secure because I have my teams. I trust my teammates. Um, and I trust myself. So it was just a lot of thinking and just like introspection of being like, this is just not sustainable. And obviously at COVID times, I had bigger things that were going on in my life that I was like, okay, I have to put like a stop into like these thoughts because they're not relevant, but I cannot sustain them anymore. And there's like bigger things that I need to be thinking about and figuring out, and I have to be secure about like myself. And I think since then I've been, yeah, I wouldn't say it just went away. Of course, there's some times where I'm like, oh, this person is so much more talented than me, but I know that's always going to happen. But at the end of the day, I know I'm a hard worker, that I will always try my best to meet the deadline, and that I respect everyone I work with, or I try to be respectful. And to me, that's enough. Like I cannot ask like for having like a better like visual style. Like I have what I have, and I keep like working to make the best work I can do. But yeah, like I have other things to think about and like other priorities. So I think that's what happened. Like a lot of introspection, a lot of time to think. that's basically what it was.
There is something special about that. I'm in a similar boat now where I'm in between jobs, and I've had the past months to like really just slow down and think about who I am and what I want and what gets me excited. And I've never done that before in my career, like my almost 20 years of being a professional. And let me tell you, it is powerful having the time and space to really dig deep and, prioritize basically your thoughts too and how you think about yourselves. And I think just the time away from working and working nonstop has really allowed me to overcome insecurities that I've had about myself as well. So
yeah, I think like you don't stop to think about everything that you have done ever, but you stop and you're like, if you treat yourself like a friend and you're being like, hey, but Andrea, you've done this, and that. So yeah, as you say, just like stopping to think, it's like so powerful. And like we, again, just going back, like in the world that we live in, like it's so hard to stop to do that. And I feel like very lucky at the time that I did stop. It was, I had money saved, I had family support, I had so many things. And I know not everybody can do it, but when I went through that, I was telling everybody, just take a break. Take a break. It's the best thing like you can do in your life and your career, because you just need time to recap and be like, am I here because I want to be? Am I doing this because I want to do it? Is it good for my health? And there's so many things that I was doing just by default, as you can tell by my, and then I move here, move here, move here. It was a lot of just like, my life was just making changes based on career, which is in a way great because I am where I am because of that. But I was like really sacrificing other things in my life. So yeah, it's the time to take a break. I think it's like so valuable, and I tell people the time to just like take a break, take a month, take 2 months. I would say take 6 months, but again, there's bills to pay, so it's
Bills. Who needs them? I mean, the companies need them, but
well, what do you do for fun, like outside of work? I know as a creative, it's sometimes hard to have hobbies that aren't creative and everything. Sometimes, at least for me personally, feels like it's all blending together. But do you do anything outside of work?
Yeah,
fills your cup?
Honestly, as I said, like I couldn't do anything creative after work before because I was like so like and my brain couldn't work anymore. And like you need like certain brain energy to like do something creative because you need like intention, or at least I do want intention when I'm doing something. But ever since I came to Mexico City, again, like since things are easier to me here for many other reasons, like I mean I'm Mexican, like language it's although I'm very comfortable with like English now, but it's still like I don't know, there's like certain like energy that you put into things that you don't have to anymore. And but anyways, like I started doing like many things here. I'm learning how to DJ. I know we don't need any more DJs in this world, but I just like find it like very fun. Music has always been like such a big part of my life. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to DJ, and I've done it like at parties for friends for like a couple of times. Uh, like film photography has been always like a thing for me. So I do that. I love so I adopted my dog like 8 months ago. So now I just love walking my dog. It's going to the park and just seeing her. I think that's my best, like my favorite hobby of all times. I'm obsessed with her. Um and I would say that for now, like this year, I'm trying to get into like more physical hobbies, like, maybe trying some hikings and like some other sports. But I just say I have like a zillion hobbies at the time. Sometimes I'm like learning salsa, and then the next month I'm just like learning how to cook some other things. So I just like trying everything. Like I don't have to be good at anything. I just want to try it at least once.
That's great. Living the life.
Yeah. That's a good philosophy too. Just trying it versus like every hobby I take up, I'm like, I'm gonna master this in 2 weeks because this is my new thing. And then I buy all the supplies and then I get started. And then I'm like,
Never more.
there's something else on the horizon.
For me, it's like I try and like master really hard things, like playing the guitar. Like I've always wanted to learn how to play the guitar well. And each time I've sat down to actually try, I get super frustrated. I end up quitting very quickly because I'm not like actually putting in the effort. So maybe I should try again now that I have this free time.
Yeah, but that's a hobby. You need like a good like mindset into trying something like that. I think that's of course, like it's not I don't know, it's different trying salsa because like you can do like 1-2 classes, but I guess I only choose like easy hobbies. That one, it's like kind of
DJing sounds hard.
Yeah.
You buy your own turntables?
Yeah, I did, and I also have and I did take like a crash course when I was in Toronto, but I didn't have like the thingy. I just forgot the name. And but my cousin, she's like a pro DJ, so she has gave me like some tips.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So I do have. She doesn't live in the city, but she gives me like just watch this or like CD. So that's nice.
Do you have a DJ name?
Absolutely not.
No? Oh my gosh, maybe we can crowdsource one for you when we post this out. We could have our listeners try and come up with a DJ name for you.
I tried. I'm like, oh, this is so cringy. I have to stop. Like,
they're hard. I feel like there should be some sort of like website generator that makes one for you based on like
there should be
the street you run with like your favorite planet or whatever. I don't know.
But like, what if you want to become an anonymous DJ? You know, like a marshmallow kind of.
I would be that type of person for sure. I've never liked like spotlight like that. So I would definitely like wear a mask or like be like gorillas. You know how they were just cartoons at the beginning. That would be
like a Daft.
I like that.
Yeah,
I would do that. I would totally do that. Okay, maybe that's my next hobby. Also,
yeah.
Try it.
So like designing what type of mask you're gonna wear and what that's gonna look like and the whole look of it, you know.
There's so many possibilities.
And the music, don't forget.
Oh yeah, music is, I guess, kind of.
Andrea, any advice for younger creatives looking to break into the industry, whether agency or in-house, anything you can kind of tell folks who are trying to get started in their careers?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say reach out to the people that you think or you admire, or the, as I said, like, oh, this creative in this agency, it's interesting what they do. Reach out to those people and ask them for advice. Whether like you're thinking of applying, reach out to people and ask them to give you feedback on your portfolio, give you feedback on the industry. Just reach out to people that are already in those places where you want to be. So one, you I don't know, like again, address your portfolio, know where to apply, but also understand how things work. Because sometimes things feel so far from you or so unachievable until you talk to people and they tell you, just as I told you, like in tech creative projects, we just had to learn and figure it out. Whereas you would think, oh, these people have maybe masters in this type of work, and that's not the case. I'm not at the moment, but I'll come back maybe at the time the episode airs. But I'm on this platform called ADP List as a mentor, and not to say like just ping me, just ping anyone in this type of platforms, just to ask them like about career, about your work, about your portfolio. I think everyone that I've been mentoring in there is so driven, and I always applaud them for reaching out and trying to put themselves out there. And they are for sure one step closer to getting to those places just because they're trying, they're existing, they're like, I tell them always like, now I know your name, and next time I think like somebody asks me about, how do you know this junior designer, I know your name and I know your work. So that will be number one advice. Second, just be kind to yourself and don't bash yourself about not being where you think you're supposed to be. But yeah, those two.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Well, I feel like you're talking to me too. Like I wish I could tell my younger self to
Same.
like
I mean,
sought out a mentor of some kind.
yeah, nicer to my younger self. But
That
Be nice to your younger self. Be nice to your present self, your future self. Just be kind to all of yourselves. And
yeah.
good things will happen. Well, Andrea, thank you so much again for joining us today. I'm so excited for everyone to hear your story, and I know I'm super inspired by you and just hearing everything you had to say today. So thank you so much again.
Thank you for having me. It was a really great talk. I hadn't talked about this, these last phases of my life in this way, so it told me a lot too about how things have been like going on. So thank you. It was a very, very nice time.
Yeah, and I'll probably reach out on ADP List just to say hi.
Yes.
As should everybody.
Yes, please reach out to Andrea and know your inbox will be flooded. So
It'll be a lot.
For everyone.